I gotta straight up inherit England and get new traditions and ambitions. And now we are the United Crowns. Hello my fellow sharers, and welcome back to E4 Mission Tree Only. This series where we look at a nation's mission tree in its entirety without expanding outside of that mission tree. Today we are going to be playing as the nation of the Netherlands. Well, Holland into Netherlands. Now without wasting any more time, let's get into it as Holland. As Holland, really the most important part of your entire campaign is going to be this early game and how that all plays out. You want to get your independence from Burgundy pretty much right away. You're going to be looking at who hates them, in my case both England, France, and Savoy. And at the same time, you're going to try and hope and pray that the Burgundian secession does not happen and a nation like Austria, France, or God forbid even something like Poland inherits Burgundy and all of their other subjects. And we're going to focus immediately on our estates to help us out with that. Certain government reforms, certain estate privileges such as religious diplomats is going to help us get a lot of those nations to actually help us in our independence war. Now, when looking at the mission tree for Netherlands and really any of these Dutch guys, especially if you start out as a subject of Burgundy, this is your tiny little mission tree. Some of the most important ones at the very start here is like this raised militia one. We just simply have to have 100% of our force limit or 10k guys. And when we complete this mission while we are a subject of Burgundy, we actually don't lose any stability. Plus, we get a bunch of permanent claims on everybody pretty much around us, almost the entirety of the Low Countries, which then guides us towards these next three missions of actually conquering everything that we have a claim on. And once we do just that, we could actually form the Netherlands before Admin Tech 10. Down this path over here is more of the trade within the Baltic region. There's two ways that you could complete this side of the mission tree. You could do it diplomatically by being friends with Lubeck, or you could do it via conquest. You actually get permanent claims on Lubeck and Gotland if you don't do this diplomatically. In our campaign, we are going to be doing this diplomatically because I just kind of want to challenge ourselves a little bit more to see how much trade we could actually pour in from the Baltic without actually owning any land over there. And immediately we are going to ask France for support of our independence. They're pretty much almost always a given. England probably, they're not going to help us because they're hostile towards us. They don't like Burgundy and they want our land. They want us dead. Savoy, on the other hand, we could definitely get. I'm also going to go ahead, hire the free company here. Our force limit is only at 7k guys. So adding in the free company for an extra 4, we're going to be over it, just by a couple there. And we'll be able to complete this mission and immediately go to war against Burgundy. Alright, so I got my 9k guys, moved them over to Amsterdam. We do have a fort here in our capital of Den Haag. Very important. If you don't protect if you don't move your guys here, you're just going to get stack wiped and you're just going to be sad and waiting for your allies to win the war. So we're going to go ahead and complete this, get our permanent claims. We're immediately just going to go ahead and do just that. They're only allied to Brunswick, and realistically, France mano a mano against Burgundy should be no problem. And we didn't get the most amazing ruler. We get a 414. It's fine. But as you guys can see, we did not lose any stability whatsoever. So you also want to make sure while you're in this war, you are improving relations with Austria. I was actually already able to royal marry them, but you want to be allied to the Emperor because it's going to allow you to expand within the HRE with no problems whatsoever. They're not going to be demanding any land from you at all. Well, interestingly enough, over here, Poland decided to appoint a local noble, so we're probably going to see a really strong Ottomans and Muscovy this game. And all I'm doing right now is just sitting here like a damsel in distress, awaiting both the French and the Savoyards to actually push through Burgundy. As you guys can see, they're already sieging through most of these forts. Not super far on their capital, but like certain provinces like Picardy here, they're doing fantastic. And I also enacted the defensive edict here in Den Haag, just to make it a little bit more challenging for Burgundy and their subjects to siege my capital. And in my campaign, luckily, France actually backed down from England here. It actually works out a little bit better in my favor that they're not fighting the English right now, because obviously I need their full focus and attention on the Burgundians. Alright, so in my game right here, I could actually get my independence along with a couple provinces that I actually do want. For one, I want this province because it is a fort that's very annoying just to get. And also Breda here is a very important province for us to actually form the Netherlands. But of course that doesn't really matter because we're going to be going down the mission tree to form them before Admin Tech 10. This also means we don't take as much AE. I mean, 48 AE is a lot of AE. But, you know, it's more manageable than, you know, if we were to just take like way too much land. Alternatively, I could just take these two. I would lose 10 AE with all Imperial Princes because of a mission in my mission tree, but I feel like this is good for right now. We could kind of save that bonus for a little bit later. I will also give France the capital of Nevers for Nevers over here, just to keep them a little bit happy, because obviously I want to keep the French around. And what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is actually invade Utrecht, because the Emperor should not be able to demand any land from me while I am at war with a Imperial Prince. Let's go ahead and do that. Whether or not I take the land is fine, but you know, we'll kind of gauge it based off AE. And Burgundy actually just warned me, so that doesn't really affect me unless I attack somebody like Liège over here, because they don't border anybody else. Okay, Burgundy, that's fine. Alright, I'm thinking in this war with Utrecht, I'm just going to take their capital here. Just, you know, just to keep expanding. We get rid of one of the more annoying forts in the area. Obviously, our land's not going to be connected. So, I mean, I could just full annex them. And, I mean, the AE is really not that bad, so... yeah, screw it. We'll just full annex these guys. And all of a sudden, I could do unification of Holland. Lose 10 AE with all Imperial Princes. And our ruler gains an extra mill point, and we get 20 legitimacy, which is actually pretty nice, considering our legitimacy just is garbage right now. And all I'm going to do right now is we're just going to sit and chill and plan on invading Galway once the opportunity actually arises. And because I won't be able to ally Austria due to my alliance with the French, we're just going to move down the whole alliance chain and just ally Bohemia, who's a great ally in the middle of the HRE with 23,000 troops. And when you look at that, Austria actually just turned friendly and sent me an alliance. I mean, yeah, now I got both Bohemia and Austria to be my friend. Also want to make sure that you are stating all this stuff up. Well, obviously only going to make your country stronger, especially since you start out as a 3-province minor. But afterwards, you want to make sure you go ahead and lower the autonomy. I'll give it a month here. Click off the tab. But you want to go ahead and lower autonomy in every province that you possibly can. It's going to give you a little bit more money, a little bit more manpower, and more force limit, because autonomy is a horrible thing in EU4, and it makes your country just really just weaker than it needs to be. The Renaissance also spawned a couple of years back, I think like 1 or 2 years back, and we actually start out with some pretty darn good provinces, our capital being 15 dev, and Amsterdam being 16 development as well too. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm not going to dev for the Renaissance here. I'm just going to simply go to advancement effort, and we're just going to get this thing to spawn in our capital a little bit faster. Here to government reform, we're going to go with ministralis promotion. This gives us cheaper advisors, more monthly favor growth, and gives us an additional privilege that we can give to our nobility. Obviously, strength and noble privileges is the other really good option. Same thing with Noble Officer Corps. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and ally Lubeck. Interestingly, I could actually ally Denmark. They're very friendly towards me. But I'm going to go ahead and do Lubeck. In order to complete this, I just need to be allied to them. And they just have to have 125 opinion of me. And then we are good to go down that little bit of that mission tree. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and invade Flanders. They're not part of the HRE. They don't own any land in the HRE. It's going to plunge me into a war against Burgundy here. And I'm going to be able to call on both France and Austria. I'm going to full annex both Flanders and Brabant because they have permanent claims on them. Again, this is mission tree only, so I can't expand outside of anything that I have claims on. So I can't take anything else that's like part of the Low Countries region until I actually get permanent claims on the remainder of the Low Countries, which yeah, I don't get that until I actually complete this mission right here. Now this is interesting. Bohemia is actually going to be forcing a PU over Hungary here. So Bohemia is going to be like really strong this game, especially because Poland didn't take Lithuania. And speaking of Bohemia, I can now get them and their newly acquired subject to Hungary into this war. Yeah, we're definitely going to call these bad boys in. And the whole Burgundian secession thing just happened. They just went on Brunswick, which is like, honestly, one of the best case scenarios. Especially because I'd imagine the Emperor is probably, after the whole Shadow Kingdom thing here, going to demand they release the Low Countries. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit crazy here. We're going to take everything that we have a claim on from Brunswick. I'm going to make them release out Luxembourg down here. They're also going to pay me war reps, all that good stuff. But this is going to give us 82 AE. And this is going to tick off a lot of people in the HRE, and people outside the HRE, such as England. But honestly, because of the way that my alliance system's working here with France, Austria, Bohemia, Hungary, that just sounds weird, Bohemia, Hungary, we should be okay. I don't think we're going to get a coalition war against us. I legitimately think that we're going to be all fine. Plus, this gives me a little bit of a chance to actually like sit back, chill, build buildings, focus on my army, and, you know, develop my nation. And because I did just conquer that land over here where Flanders used to be, I could go ahead and complete in Flanders fields. Pretty much we could either make the province of Antwerp become Dutch here. It's an accepted culture, same culture group. Or they all lose 15 years of separatism and we get a level 2 advisor who's half cost, which I like that more. I can also finally embrace the Renaissance, so yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We're nowhere near to being a great power just yet. But honestly, I mean, being over 100 development is feeling pretty nice. Finally, I could go ahead and choose my very first idea group. And we're doing so good in terms of mill. We're 13 years ahead of everybody. We're going to go with quality ideas because it's going to buff up both our army and our navy. Especially within a nation like the Netherlands. You kind of sort of need both to be very good. Alternatively, offensive ideas is also fantastic because it does stack up that siege ability. And of course, if you go super high professionalism, which I mean, at some point when we do form Netherlands, there's a mission that requires us to have like 70 army professionalism. Sieging is going to be like no issue at all. And part of the reason why I'm not opening up with exploration ideas right away is quite simply, well, we are actually really far away from the New World based on our closest port, which is going to be over here of Brugge. Pretty much we're going to have to wait until either Diplotech 7 or Diplotech 11 before we could actually start colonizing stuff. And also part of my plan here is actually we're going to be taking a good amount of colonies like from countries like England or even Portugal and Castile, who historically the Dutch were always at war with these guys, even the French. Pretty much everybody hated the Dutch just because they were like everywhere. So our ruler did just die. We got this one heir. I really don't care for this guy, so I think we're going to send him off to a nice trip off the coast of Holland over here. Alright, now that's a much better heir than that previous guy, so I'll gladly take a 362. And I could go ahead and actually complete the Hansa Relations mission here. We get 2 mercantilism, along with 60 trade power and 100 diplo power. Oh, would you look at that? Burgundy's back. Quite simply because they were getting to be a little bit too high in terms of liberty desire. Oh, actually, never mind. Because Brunswick got full annex. So, yeah, Burgundy is back. Here are 3 government reform. I'm going to go with expanded royal court. I like that reform, progress, growth. Now that I'm at admin tech 7, now I'm going to go ahead and pick up exploration ideas. And that's because we're right there getting Diplotech 7, which gives us 115 colonial range. So we should be able to reach at least something. And finally, our entire coalition is pretty much just done for. Yep, everybody left. That means I can finally start expanding again. Looking at you, Galray. Here, for government reform, I'm going to go with maintain balance of power so we get an additional diplomat. So this is freaking hilarious. So I just realized Brunswick is back. And they're under a PU with Burgundy. So they PU'd Burgundy only to have the good old switcheroo where Burgundy now has them under a PU. Right, I'm going to go ahead and invade Friesland. They are allied to East Frisia. I'm just going to take those 3 provinces. Boom, that's another mission done. But I'm not going to go ahead and form the Netherlands until I've conquered everything that I get a claim on that's in the HRE, such as all of Liège, Luxembourg, and this one province from Hainaut. And the reason for that is because Netherlands actually leaves the HRE when you form them. I conquer everything I need in the Low Countries before I go ahead and leave the HRE. So I actually just finished up quality ideas, which does give me extra discipline, but it also got us to polders, which is a unique idea that we have, giving us -10 dev cost. So some of these provinces, like Amsterdam, is now only 21 or 28 monarch points to dev up, and our capital of Den Haag is only 25. Obviously, if I expand infrastructure and promote local development in those areas, we could get it really, really low. And yeah, we're about to take these 3 provinces. A lot of people are going to hate us again. I'm okay with it. I'm honestly okay with this at this point. But I could go ahead and complete this. So now I got additional 10 army tradition, and my nobility is a little bit more loyal. I could go ahead and actually complete this, get permanent claims on the rest of the Low Countries, and for the next, I think it's 40 years, I get development cost and discipline. So again, going back to the dev cost, we're now at -20. If I do this while I'm in the Netherlands, I get an additional 10 years of those bonuses. But I'm just going to go ahead and do this now, just for the fact that I could go ahead and get permanent claims on the rest of the Low Countries. And just to show I can become Netherlands, but again, I won't be part of the HRE, and that's the only part of this that I don't like. So I'm just going to hold off until we literally annex all these provinces. I went ahead and recruited an explorer. We're going to go ahead, actually be able to reach pretty far in terms of exploration. I don't know in terms of colonization we'll be able to go that far, but exploration wise it's going to be good. We're going to be able to discover the Americas and complete another age objective. And because the Low Countries is such a great area for development, pretty much any building you build is going to be fantastic in this region. I will be using this building guide that I use as a reference in pretty much all of my videos. I'll make sure I put it up on the screen now. I think it does a pretty darn accurate job of explaining how to build your buildings properly, where to build them, and how to make the most money. And in a game like this where you're in the Netherlands, you're already going to be making a lot of money. Really, the only issue you may have would be the manpower. But, you know, even then, that's really not that bad because you could always buy manpower with mercenaries. So also just realized I never went over Dutch ideas. Dutch ideas are fantastic, geared towards both colonization and trade. You get national sailors modifier, naval force limit modifier plus 50%. So you're going to have a huge navy. Trade efficiency, yearly inflation, an additional merchant and trade range, dev cost. You're going to get even more sailors, giving you 50% national sailors. Naval leader fire, plus 2 guaranteed. Marine force limit, tolerance of heretics, siege ability, and land fire damage. I also forgot to mention, for our naval doctrine, we actually get a unique one here, which is Dutch trade fleet, giving us more colonial range and more ship power. So yeah, we're going to take that right away. It's actually going to allow us to go ahead and colonize the Americas, I guarantee it. Because I'm so far ahead in terms of mill, might as well start using it to dev up some of my provinces. And for Amsterdam right now, it would only cost me 16 monarch points to actually dev this up. Also, I'm going to expand infrastructure, so now it only costs me 9. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Alright, I'm just going to go for it and invading Liège over here. I want to just form Netherlands to get right into the colonial stuff. And I may even just go ahead and annex the other 2 guys as well too, even though my AE is kind of high. A lot of these German guys are actually okay with me right now. Okay, so I can finally go ahead, annex Luxembourg, and there we go. Low Countries is entirely ours. I'm going to delete a couple forts because this is just way too freaking expensive. Don't know why I need so many forts over here. In case you guys are wondering, yeah, all of Central Europe kind of sort of hates me, and I honestly don't blame them. They're going to hate me as the Netherlands, because yeah, we are now the Netherlands. We did just lose our Ministralis promotion. That's fine. We get a couple cool new government reforms that we get to enact here, such as the Stadtholder monarchy, allowing us pretty much to get essentially an elector monarchy. We don't lose any stability whenever our rulers die. We get more trade efficiency, heavy ship combat ability, and also allows us to get VOC Indiamen ships, which are transports and trade ships. And then for our tier 2 government reform, we're just going to go with strength and noble privileges. Oh, and because now that we have the Stadthalter monarchy, we can now do a parliament over here. So let's go ahead and put a parliament seat in a few different places, such as like Den Haag here. Every parliament seat that you hand out is going to give you the following bonuses of production, efficiency plus 10%, tax plus 15%, manpower plus 10%, and sailors plus 10%. So you don't want to hand out too many of these, but you do want to have them in some of your higher development provinces or ones with good production or tax. And now that I am in the Netherlands, as you guys can see, we have a much larger mission tree. Luckily, one of these missions we could already do, which is Northern Renaissance, giving us a cheaper admin advisor cost for the next 20 years and more advisors as well. That part here is all about trade over in the English Channel. This is all about trade here in the Baltic. Our military over here, production and development, all of the things that have to do with our navy is over here. This is about our government reforms, and this is pretty much about different types of buildings and whatnot like that. And down here is all of our colonial stuff, which is a very large portion of our tree. But doing this, so since we already have the second idea within exploration ideas, we could go ahead and complete this, get colonial range and a really good explorer. And the game wants us to go ahead and colonize somewhere, at least one colony. And then going down this path is pretty much getting all the way over to India and Indonesia, Africa, all that stuff. So some of the missions that I have completed pretty much as soon as we formed Netherlands, essentially was just Northern Renaissance here, just simply having advisors. And the Renaissance, we get Northern Renaissance, possible advisor +1, admin advisor cost minus 10%, and a 75% cheaper level 2 advisor. Also, I was able to complete this by having my clergy's loyalty up above 60, their influence either lower than 50, which it is, and 4 privileges. Now, if we did this through curtailing the clergy influence, they actually lose 5% land. If this was through granting clergy privileges, we get 100 monarch points. Well, I honestly have no idea which is it going to give me both then. So what is my land at? 28, and then obviously 352. So I got 100 there. And okay, so apparently I did both. So I got the money, the land, and 100 admin. That is fantastic. I didn't even know that could happen. That's amazing. And I guess just simply having one colony being built right now completes this. We get trade steering, ship trade power propagation, and 5 prestige. Just by having one colony being built. From there, the next 2 missions are Caribbean colonies, having 5 provinces in the Caribbean. Then we get burger privileges will now give a naval force limit plus 5%. So I guess that means every, or the New World Charter's burger privilege will now give us 5% more naval force limit. This one, I just have to own the province of Manhattan, and it gets renamed to New Amsterdam pretty much. Get a bunch of buildings upgraded here. I don't even have to build a colony over here. I just have to own the province of New Amsterdam or Manhattan. I think I could actually reach that right now. I can, so yeah, we'll go ahead and set up a second colony just to complete that mission. Because I just embraced colonialism, I am now a great power. Putting me at number 5 with 387 development. That's actually pretty darn good for 1509. So I keep referencing these ships called the VOC Indiamen. They are a type of light ship with more guns, more trade power, and can actually transport units. They're a unique type of ship, and it's based off of our naval force limit and also our trade efficiency. That's what determines how many ships we can have of these kind. By just simply getting my force limit up to 30,000 while my total troops in the field up to 30,000, and having 10% army professionalism and at least 25 army tradition, I can now complete this. Get morale of armies plus 10% and army drill game modifier plus 30% for the next 25 years. From there, I have to have a larger army of 75,000 troops, 30 army professionalism, and a level 3 advisor, or my guy has to be a martial educator, or my guy has to have at least 4 monarch point generation. And then the other mission I have to do is fixed garrisons. I need to have at least 7 forts in this area and a military engineer advisor of at least level 2. And the whole Protestant Reformation just spawned over here in Dithmarschen. I'm going to go ahead and become one of the first nations to go ahead and convert. Third idea group, we're just going to go all in on this colonization stuff. So we're going to pick up expansion ideas, fantastic ideas with a merchant, 2 colonists, diplomat, global trade, or not global trade, yeah, global trade power. And then also to the policy between that and exploration ideas is very nice, giving you even more settlers and less likely of a chance that natives are going to be uprising. Plus the land leader fire with quality ideas is also very nice. I've apparently completed the ending the sound toll mission here. I just had to be Netherlands, either own the provinces of Holland or my ally owns Holland and had 150 relations of me, and then we could do one of these two pretty much. Holland gets conditional modifier, Dutch traders, and sound toll, giving that province a local dev cost. But as long as we maintain over 125 relations with the Danes, we actually get 70 trade power in the trade node. And then that province actually gets a lot of bonuses. But every nation in the Lubeck trade node is going to be kind of upset with us. We are officially in the Age of Reformation. This is a pretty good time period for us. We did get join the Reformation, convert provinces. And in terms of missions right now, I am in one way kind of jumping ahead. Colonizing 2 provinces here in Africa, both of them having trade ports here, just so I could do the trade in the Ivory Coast mission, which does require us to own at least 2 provinces with centers of trade over here. I have to be the strongest trade power in Ivory Coast in order to complete this mission. This also allows me to get a little bit closer to Asia, because I do just have to discover India and Indonesia, and all of a sudden we get more things that we can do over here as well. And I mean, if we conquer India, then our land over in India, we could actually form a unique subject over there. This mission right here actually also requires us to own Cape of Good Hope, so we don't really get permanent claims on stuff, but I need to make sure I actually get down there, especially since the Spanish is kind of sort of working their way over here now. Now I can complete this Low Countries universities. Pretty much just had to have 3 provinces of at least 20 development with 3 different buildings. My innovativeness need to be at least 15, we're at 25. And we get a bunch of monarch points, and our most developed province in the Low Countries gets a university. I finally have over 30 light ships, 15% more trade power in Lubeck. We get a little bit more money in permanent claims on every province in the Baltic trade node that has a center of trade. That's actually kind of cool. I've apparently completed Institute the States Navy, which just requires me to have 100% of my naval force limit and have at least 40 ships. So we get Navy tradition, and for the next 20 years, morale navies, naval attrition. Finally, I've discovered both India and Indonesia over here. And so because of that, I can finally move on to this. And I can give my burghers a unique privilege to actually create a subject in India. Here it is. Trade company investment cost unlocks the establishment of the VOC as a commercial enterprise in India. So now we just hit the 4 provinces and we get a unique subject over there. I can also complete a New Hope, which just simply requires us to have Cape of Good Hope and 25% or more trade power down here. Now that I have 2 level 2 centers of trade, along with 2 provinces over here, and I'm also the strongest trade power here in Ivory Coast, I can now complete this. And upgrades all my centers of trade in the Guinea region if they're a level 1. If they're level 2, they won't get upgraded to world ports, but we also get influence in the Ivory Coast, boosting our trade power to 100 for the next 15 years. This is easily like one of the best, if not the best event in the game, Prospering Times. And because of that event, I actually produce over 25 units of cloth all of a sudden. And all provinces in the Low Countries that are not Flemish and produce cloth get Dutch cloth trading for the next 15 years, giving me trade value modifier. All Flemish provinces that do produce cloth do 30% trade value modifier. I can finally complete sponsoring foreign artists. I have 58 prestige. My burger loyalty is over 65. We get 200 splendor. And patronage of the arts burger's privilege will no longer grant a national tax modifier malice. And the yearly prestige will actually be doubled. That's actually kind of nice. With my province at Cape of Good Hope now being development of at least 20, having a fort, a marketplace, this province now until the end of the game gets local goods produced and defensiveness. I just went ahead and completed another mission, the Bach of Luxembourg. This just simply required us to have a fort building in Luxembourg and also have at least 15 development in the province, and the province gets an upgraded fort, actually upgrades it to the whole next tier, get 3 base manpower, and that province gets the Bach until the end of the game, giving a possible number of manufactories, which is very nice, and local defender dice roll bonus +1. And because I completed that mission, I now have 7 provinces with forts in the Low Countries. I'm also the highest possible level of military technology, and I have a military advisor who is at least level 2. My guy is 3. So I can go ahead and complete this. All my fort provinces in the Low Countries will now give -5 dev costs, local production efficiency, fort defense, and if I take defensive ideas, all of that stuff gets doubled. So we can have actually up to -10 additional dev costs, 20% local production efficiency, and 20% local fort defense, which is just absolutely disgusting. I can also go ahead now and complete Baltic trade supremacy. I have about 45 light ships actually protecting trade here in Lubeck. So just need to be the strongest. So all I had to do to complete this mission, Baltic trade supremacy, is be the strongest trade power in Lubeck and have 25% or more trade power over here. I have 45 light ships protecting trade. Most of those are all my VOC unique ships. But now our burghers are going to gain an additional 10 loyalty. Our ruler is going to gain 1 extra diplo. And because we did this when Lubeck's no longer the trade leader, we get connection to the Baltic till the end of the age of Reformation, giving the following effects: trade efficiency +10%. Also finally got myself a colony here in the Caribbean, Dutch West Indies. I'm going to make it into a private enterprise, meaning it's going to be a little bit better when it comes to trade. However, obviously you guys see Cuba is kind of sort of the major problem over here. But from there, now I could go into this whole thing of colonizing down here, basically setting up a colonial nation here in, I guess, what would be considered Colombia. I don't think that, yeah, that's not part of the Brazilian area there. I've apparently also finished up the mission Land Reclamation. Just simply 6 of my provinces have to at least be improved 1 time with at least 1 building. Distributes out 5 production development across all my provinces, and every owned province that meets those requirements will get local construction costs -20%, along with local production efficiency +10% for the next 20 years. So not bad. I finally completed access to the Indian Ocean. I own this province over here next to the Maldives, along with a province here in Indonesia and another one, well, in the Malaya region, and also one right here on Borneo. So because of that, I now get 2 mercantilism, 373 ducats, and a bunch of permanent claims, this time in both India and also here in Malacca. From there, I have to get base in Ceylon, which does give me even more money, 100 diplo power, and you know, I just have to own this entire island. And when I mean more money, it's going to give me 2 months worth of income from the English Channel. So it's not just a flat amount; it's whatever you're getting from the English Channel. And then once I actually conquer Malacca, or 3 provinces here in Malaya, and I have 50% or more trade power here, I get the my Dutch company, my burgers privilege will now give me cheaper governing costs by 15%. Tier 6 government reform, I'm just going to go with aristocratic court for right now because that Diplo rep improve relations and the monthly favor growth is very nice. Later on, when we get to the age of absolutism, I will be swapping this out for royal decree. So I see that Vijayanagar is getting completely destroyed by Bahmanis right now. And honestly, I want to end on this. We're going to attack them. We're going to try and take over the entire island of Ceylon. Luckily, I just built a bunch of transport ships. So that shouldn't be a problem getting over there. It's just a matter of my guys probably being attrition to death getting over there. But it should be okay. Also, I just noticed that poor Lithuania is getting absolutely curb stomped by the Ottomans. They have no manpower. And oh my god, Muscovy. What is going on over here in the east? Bohemia's actually having a great game. Albania owns this random province. Ottomans just doing the usual Ottoman thing. But like, this is disgusting. What is this? EU4. Why does this exist right now? So normally Vijayanagar is a very tough nation to crack. However, because for one, I'm ahead of them by like 2-3 technologies. 2, they have no manpower, and even their navy's kind of wimpy, to say the least. It's very easy for me to actually land on the island of Ceylon and actually just simply siege down the fort, and I will begin just pushing throughout most of the country. Finally, an actual fight against Vijayanagar here. I mean, they have really good discipline for 110%, but it doesn't matter because technology is king in this game. And I'm thinking we're going to do something like this. Yes, it technically expands outside of my claims because the game just wants me to take over Ceylon. At the same time, we get a unique subject in India, so might as well take advantage of this. I may or may not conquer all of India in this game just because, I mean, might as well. You have a whole subject that literally their whole existence is premised around conquering all of India, especially as either England or Netherlands. So, and pretty much all it is essentially a republic that gets additional production efficiency, manpower, naval force limit, tolerance to heathens, governing capacity, all that stuff. There's also a few other things as well. You know, it's basically like a colonial nation. You know, I could grant them cores, all that stuff. I could tell them, hey, you know what? I feel like having you attack somebody here in India right now and stuff. So it is a cool little feature that they do have. Oh, and now because I established that trade company, I now have claims literally everywhere here in India. My ruler finally died, so now I have an orangist really led government here, 62. And I went down the orangist path versus the statists, just simply because I like the bonuses that this mission gives for the orangists versus the statists a little bit more. So to complete this, you just need at least 2 stability. I have 3. 4 government reforms. I'm at 6. Orangists or statists have to have at least 33 control over the government, and the event constitutionalism and the general estates has happened. Once you do that, shaping the state happens. There's 1 of 2 options. Orange's candidates during elections will have +1 on all ruler stats. So no longer will you have like a crappy 2-2-2 like Orange's. He's now going to be a 3-3-3. So at least average. And now we unlock the Orange's privileges nobility privilege, which allow us to overthrow any statist stat holder through a decision. However, if we decide to go the other route with the statist, we will gain 5% loyalty to all estates, and as long as we have a statist stat holder in office, my guy will never be cooed. I like the sound of the orange, just one a little bit more. It's better monarchs. Also now, because I have 2 merchants, one in India and one in Indonesia, I now get price of spices by 50%. So because I have 2 merchants, one in India and one in Indonesia, the spice trade event has happened. So I get 309 ducats and 20 prestige, plus spices become more valuable till the end of the game. I finally completed relations in Britain. So now that my navy is 110% stronger than the English navy, I have at least 30% spy network in England, and I have more development than England. They're at 613, I'm at 624. I can now complete this, and for the next 20 years, we get a restoration of Union CB on England. And we also get blockade efficiency and blockade impact on siege. Guess what? We are going to attack England and enforce a personal union on the English right away. I would love if my ally Denmark would be able to join me, but it looks like they're kind of getting their asses handed to them by the Polish and the Russians. But I could get both France and Bohemia to help me out, even Lubeck, which doesn't mean that this is going to be an easy war by any means, because we still have to fight Spain and Portugal, who are both allied to England. Oh, and Brittany, too. Can't forget about Brittany. But I'm going to go ahead and do this war. I legitimately believe that we have a good chance of winning this war. It really does just come down to how France handles Spain and Portugal. Bohemia, I have a lot of faith in because they're very strong this game. They can have up to 80,000 troops. France could have, obviously almost 80 to 90,000 troops. They just don't have a lot of them built right now for whatever reason. So we're just going to do this. England's at war with some Native American tribes over there, so hopefully most of their armies stuck over there while I have free reign to just march into England. And so far my navy really is a lot stronger than the English navy. I mean, we're just demolishing whatever ships that we see, and really there's no resistance marching into England so far. I wish I could say the same thing with France marching into Spain right now, but Spain, despite being busy over here in Italy, France is not taking advantage of that. So I gotta hope that my buddy Bohemia over here does, and continues to march over this way. Meanwhile, I apparently could complete another mission, Flute Cargo Vessels. My admiral just has to have a trait, Diplotech at least 7, and have at least 50 light ships. And completing this gives me 2 new privileges for my burghers. One, which makes my ship trade power better by 50%, but my VOC caravels have less guns. Meanwhile, the opposite is true. They lose ship trade power, but they have more guns, better hull size, and they cost more. I'm not going to use either of those privileges, though they are both very good privileges, but I don't really need to worry about it, especially if I'm going to be owning England for like the rest of the game. I really don't have to worry about it. That does unlock this next mission, Amsterdam Bourse, which the province of Amsterdam needs to have at least 30 development, and also has to have the great project Amsterdam Bourse at tier 2. London has officially fallen, so now we are in control of England's fate. At this point, all we have to do is just simply own the capital for next 5 years, and we should be able to win this. And apparently, since I did just take their capital, it bumped up my trade power in the region, so now I could complete supremacy in the channel, which just requires me to have at least 30 light ships and 60% or more trade power. And then for every center of trade that we own in the English channel, we get 25 Diplo power, and we get a level 2 center and a level 2 trader who's 50% cheaper. And that finally unlocks Glorious Revolution, which just simply requires us to own at least 10 provinces in Britain, and then whatever we decide to do, be it PU or through conquest, if we do it with a PU, we can actually form a whole new country, a very unique formable that only England or that Netherlands can form. Meanwhile, if we go with the other option through conquest, then you get national sailors and heavy ship costs. Top option, we'll be able to recruit man of wars, get a cheaper advisor, and or integrating England or Great Britain will be 25% cheaper. I like those options. Finally, a battle against the English. Their troops are very, very good. 110% discipline with 4 morale. We should be able to win this battle. Yeah, just because of the numbers. Didn't like that, but yeah, just because of the numbers, we won that. I'm also going to go ahead and hire the Grand Company just to bulk up my army a little bit more, because they do have, equal numbers to me pretty much. Yes, England trying to take back their capital. Let's deal with that. My goodness, yeah, the discipline that they do have, that extra 5% really is actually kind of a bit of a problem. Don't know why it is that much of a difference whenever I see that morale drop, but it's pretty bad. And if you thought deving up in Amsterdam wasn't cheap enough with all these modifiers, plus you get, like, look at all this. Look at all this stuff. Plus, obviously, expanding infrastructure makes it even cheaper. You can now do land reclamation in Amsterdam. Or in Holland, excuse me. For 50 admin, you get development in Amsterdam till the end of the game, giving you another minus 25% dev cost in that one province. So cheap to dev up Amsterdam. And that's not even including taking encouraged development or infrastructure ideas. If I took infrastructure ideas, this would be absolutely absurd with the level of development that I could do in the Netherlands. I mean, like, let's look at development right now. Like, my country in 1560 is like the most developed, like, provinces are like the most developed areas. Though Denmark is also looking very developed, and same thing with Brandenburg. And to make things even more disgusting for the province of Amsterdam, we get 100 Diplo power, 5 prestige, and paper is now produced here, along with local goods produced, prestige, and institution spread. And I just so happen to look over here in India, and now Kilwa is colonizing India. I mean, luckily that's going to be one of the easier wars for me, but like, bro, like, why? Why are you here? Finally, my Dutch and Bohemian allies are absolutely demolishing the Spanish. They're pushing through Iberia like it's no problem whatsoever. Especially, that's very, very just awesome. Especially because both Portugal and Spain have their entire armies over here right now. And I just stack wiped half the English army here in Ireland. They are down to their last 30,000 troops. Pretty much most of their country is completely occupied. My allies in France and Bohemia are finally making it all the way over to Madrid. So Spain should be getting out of this war very soon. And I'm kind of hoping, just maybe, I could just, maybe steal some colonies here. Like maybe I could get some of Cuba from Spain. Maybe I could get some of these provinces from Spain and New Granada. Just to get moving in those mission tree. And maybe even here in Brazil as well. Big boy naval battle coming up. Our 64 ships against the English 47. Oh, there we go. My allies joined in. That was actually a really good thing that they did, because I did lose quite a few ships there. We are about to get Spain completely out of the war here. So, because we do occupy half their country. And the type of peace deal I'm looking at here is I'm just going to take all of what would be the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And I'm going to take these two provinces here in New Granada, allowing me to colonize these two and complete that one mission. Okay, with Portugal here, I'm going to take this much land. I just simply have to core up 5 of those provinces and we get a colonial nation. So, yeah, we'll just core up like the cheapest ones. So not bad at all. We went from having a colonial empire that wasn't really focused here in the Americas, all of a sudden now owning like half of Brazil over here, and of course now owning some of Colombia and about half of the Caribbean. On top of that, we are now in control of England. We are currently sitting at the number 3 great power at 909 development. But now that I'm going to own England here, we're going to become the number 1 great power in the entire game. And apparently I've also completed an achievement here, which is, as Netherlands, own all of the Low Countries and have 50% or more fort defense. Okay, but I could go ahead and complete the mission Glorious Revolution, which is right here. Throne of England, I do plan on integrating them. And once we do that, we completed this, so, both ways, it's done. So we're going to do this. Integrating England or Great Britain will now be 25% cheaper. And if we look right here in our decisions, we could actually just simply integrate England as long as their opinion of us is at 190. They have less than 5 Liberty Desire, and we have Admin Tech 18. all of a sudden we just straight up inherit England, so we don't even have to integrate them whatsoever. We gain English as an accepted culture, and we also become an empire with new traditions and ambitions, and we get British subject until the end of the game, giving us man-of-war ships. So overall, very good that we got this. And as I mentioned, we are the #1 great power in the world, with only 1183 development. Should be a little bit higher, but also it's only showing half of my subjects development plus half of England's half of their development, so it's a weird combination there. And would you look at that, our trade company over here finally doing something useful, going in for the kill on Vijayanagar. But otherwise, we are pretty much done with the actual conquest portion of our mission tree. At this point, it's just simply buffing up our army just more, getting more professionalism, getting better admirals, generals, etc. like that, developing and industrializing our country. I say industrializing for EU4 and obviously not Victoria 3. And of course upgrading some of our great projects and dealing with some of the trade in our region as well, along with some government stuff. And Ottomans also just got the Mamluks. Unfortunately for me, the Mamluks did exploration ideas. But yeah, Ottomans are over here in Indonesia as well. That's just, I don't like that. I don't like that at all, game. Now that I own 5 provinces here in Guyana, I can complete this, get a bunch of development in all these provinces, along with production buildings and base production being upgraded in literally all 5 of these provinces. So it's not a bad mission. It's just kind of an annoying mission, but it is a cool little historical one, I guess. Now that I have Dutch and Brazil over here, this type of colony, so currently my one in the Americas up here is a crown colony. This one I may make into a self-governing colony because I want it to expand very fast. Especially because Brazil's such a huge area. So yeah, we'll just do self-governing colony. Now that I have 5 admirals, along with Amsterdam, Friesland, Den Haag, and Zeeland all having 20 development, a shipyard, I can now complete this. I get a really good admiral of 556. And organizing the admiralities happen. Pretty much, I get burghers in the admiralty as one option, getting +1 max admiral maneuver. Otherwise, the other option is those provinces get a conditional modifier, which, as long as we have 60% burgher loyalty, will give me even more naval tradition. I kind of like that a little bit more. And because I own 15 provinces between both Brazil and also Ivory Coast here, I could now complete this mission. I get a cheaper morale navies guy, grand designs effects for 20 years, giving me trade steering, which is actually really nice. And the last mission in the Americas tree here is questions of slavery, and pretty much I have to have Admin 15 and either 25% of the world's slave market or slave producing provinces at least 35. And then I could abolish slavery before everybody else. I'm going to go ahead and invade Kilwa for all of their stuff here in India. My subject is still at war with Vijayanagar. At some point, once my truce is up, I will go ahead and attack them. But for now, I want to kick Kilwa completely out of here. Most important thing for me right now is to keep my relations up with England, because they need to have a positive opinion of me. If my ruler dies, but while we have a negative opinion of England, we lose our PU over England. So luckily I did get it over 6 by influencing them, sending them a ton of money, improving relations. I was able to complete the concept of free trade mission just by getting the English Channel up to 75 ducats in trade value here, along with having a level 3 advisor, trader advisor. Plus, my trade income makes up over 88% of my total income, as you guys could see right here, or even more now. It's at 98. To complete Dutch humanism, I just had to complete these 2 previous missions here, get a level 3 theologian, and have at least 8 admin per month. We get tolerance to heretics plus 2 innovativeness gain, and gain 1 innovativeness for the next 15 years. I finally completed a regiment de marine, just simply having 20 marines. We get elite naval infantry till the end of the game, giving us national sailors, marine force limit, and we also get Black Devils privilege for our burghers, which grants our Marines land fire damage and negates their shock damage received, and we can only have less of them by 10%. So that's all that stuff done right there. Finally, I'm going to make peace with Bahmanes. We're going to do something like this. My trade company is going to get a lot bigger very quickly. The nice thing is I could just straight up grant all my Indian stuff over to my VOC, and there we go. I actually didn't even have to manually hand it to them. I could just apparently click on this and it just automatically gives it to them. That's actually way better than what I've been doing. Finally completed a unified confession. Required me to complete the previous 2 missions. 90% religious unity. My pastor's loyalty needed to be 65 or greater, and I needed either enforce interfaith dialogue or converted at least 15 provinces. Enforce interfaith dialogue now for the burghers gives us tolerance of heretics and max tolerance of heretics +1. If I was reformed, I would get 100 points of fervor. But that doesn't really affect me as much. I can also apparently complete the teachings of Erasmus here. Religious unity of 100%, theologian, advisor level 3. I am making at least 11 admin a month, and I got 3 stability. And because I'm not reformed, I get fund theological studies will now grant a modifier scaled with clergy influence, giving the following max influence, tolerance of heretics, and relations with heretics. Actually, the relations with heretics is pretty decent, but I don't really care about those. At 100% war score, I could go ahead and full annex Andhra. And all this going straight to my subject right here. And pretty much all that is in our way from expanding even further into India is just Bahmanes. So we just gotta wait till our truce with them is over. Because my orangists are in complete control of the government, I can finally complete handling the stadtholders. Legitimacy at least 80, orangists influence is at least 75. I have a level 2 admin, diplo, and mill advisor. And now my ruler gains an additional +1 in every category, along with 200 splendor. And if you guys are wondering about how our economy is doing, well, let's just put it this way. Our English Channel trade node is currently at 93 ducats in 1584. Sure, we only own about 55%, but really, if you think about it, once I integrate England, we're about to own like 97% of this. So we are like right there to being able to fully own English Channel, just make an absurd amount of money. Would you look at that? Brandenburg won the Protestant War and went on to form Prussia. Now that's interesting. Finally, I could complete Dutch Baroque architecture. Needed 10 provinces with at least 5 buildings, 200 total development across my country. And we get artist advisors now give 2.5 construction costs per level. If the Peter Post happens, we get a level 3 artist who's 75% cheaper. I upgrade my Amsterdam Bourse to at least tier 1, and apparently I can complete this, even though it says to have it at tier 2, but it'll upgrade it for me. It also gives me the conditional effect of it. Oh, actually, just brought it all the way up to 3. So you get yearly inflation reduction, trade steering, trade company investment costs, local trade power, and trade power value modifier. That's a very, very good, great project right there. This one right here, the water goes in, is very easy. You just need at least 40 light ships to be privateering and have a large fleet. Of over 100 ships. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and invade Malacca here. I'm not going to co-belligerent anybody, but my plan is to pretty much take as much of Malacca as possible here. I'm also going to make sure I send my navy, my 20 light ships over here back to port, otherwise they're going to die right away. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this. This should be relatively easy. To complete Dutch engineering, you just need at least 40 artillery, 20% siege ability, or 13 mil a month, or a leader with at least 4 siege. We get pioneers of modern siege warfare. Dutch Protestant military engineer joins my court. He's a level 3 advisor. He's now half off. And military engineer advisors will now grant siege ability per level. So 5% per level. if it's a level 5 advisor, all of a sudden you're getting an additional plus 525, or you're getting an additional 25% siege ability. That's disgusting. Within this war, I'm just going to do something like this. I do have plans and ambitions to just straight up take as much of Indonesia as possible. I'm going to go ahead and start fabricating a claim actually here on Jambi next. And I still have to take Malacca for my mission in order to progress down my Asian colonization portion of my tree right here. Conquer Malacca, Malacca, and I have to have at least 50% trade over here. So apparently global trade spawned, but not one of my provinces. Am I subject to England over here? I mean, I guess I can't be that mad, but still, it's just annoying. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and invade Jambi. This does call in Malacca again, but it also calls in a bunch of other guys like Brunei, Patani up here, this Buddhist guy over here, and Pasai. So, I don't think it'll be that bad of a war. I'm going to go ahead and take these 3 provinces from Malacca. Now it's pretty much just me 1v1ing Jambi and, oh yeah, and a couple other guys, I guess. I keep forgetting these other guys are in this war. I could apparently become an empire all of a sudden, so let's go ahead and do that. We got a cultural union over everything that is Germanic, so that's very nice. Because I got my trade power over here in Malacca to be over 56%. I also own 3 provinces that are all trade provinces. I can now complete this trade company governing costs. It's decent. Pretty much also, though, it wants me to conquer this province next. Conquer all of Taiwan. And figure out something with Japan here. Either I have to be friends with them, or I own one of the provinces here. I think it'll actually be easier to become a friend of Japan. I allied Japan. I can now complete Japanese trade. I mean, if I did the top one by actually conquest, I get mercantilism, center of trade. Provinces would gain 1 base production. Through relations, they get 100 diplo power. Entering into the age of absolutism in the 1600s is really the Dutch golden era. I mean, you know, we literally get our bonus in this era. Trade steering plus 33% is very, very nice. Some of the other easier ones to do is like the 3 trade companies, multiple universities, potential for a large army. We could do absolutism if we joined the religious war, which we did not. We could easily have done that as well. Finally, I got my holders up to tier 3 for my great project here. Simply required 6 provinces to be improved at least 3 times. Upgrade your polders, and we get 100 diplo points, 10 prestige, which obviously gets converted into monarch points. And a Dutch polders great project will now grant an additional 5% goods produced and providential trade power plus 20%. And because we completed that mission, we can also do cities of the Low Countries. You simply need to own 10 provinces with at least 25 development and 4 buildings, and my monthly income is at least 200 ducats. I think it's referring mainly to my total income. I don't think it's my monthly, more of the total income. I went ahead and devved up England. I'm also at admin tech 18. I could just straight up inherit England and get new traditions and ambitions. Oh yeah, here we go. And now we are the United Crowns. How are our ideas any different than the Dutch ideas? Well, all of a sudden we have trade efficiency, land fire damage, morale of navies, discipline, goods produced plus 20%. We get to keep like that Dutch idea with the sailors, naval leader fire, marine force limit, trade range, merchants, siege ability, yearly inflation, and now global settlers and then global tariffs. I finally completed Golden EU here. So we get Dutch Golden Age till the end of the game, monthly splendor, cost of advisors with ruler's culture minus 20%, and we gain an additional Golden Age or extend the one that we currently have by 50 years. So we actually have 2 Golden Ages that we could launch in this game. And all of a sudden, because now we have literally the largest nation in the game, the most development, And we are absolutely just dominating in terms of trade. I mean, at 1620, look at this. 158 ducats in the English Channel. We own 95% of this. In terms of trade, we're making 400 ducats from trade. Our total income's at 623, and our balance every month is 400. I'm currently making a total income of over 1,000 ducats in the year 1637. As you guys can see, I'm making almost 700 ducats a month. We're literally making buckets of ducats. And because of that, I can now declare myself as an economic hegemon, meaning that I get monthly war exhaustion, mercenary manpower, dev cost, and over time, our power just continues to just get even stronger, where we get even more goods produced, mercenary discipline, minimum autonomy in territories, and at maximum power, we get 20% gov cap. Alright, I think it's finally time we go ahead and invade Sunda. I do have a mission over here, founding Batavia, that I have to complete. I have to conquer this province, Kalapa. Then we get Fort of Batavia till the end of the game, giving us even more Indian men ships. And then we just have to do acquiring Formosa, which is owning the entire Taiwan area. And then all of a sudden we could complete this last mission here. So those are the last two right there in terms of our colonial stuff. And really after that, because I'm just playing a waiting game until I complete all my government reforms, until I have at least 75 naval tradition, and once I become the leading producer of grain, then all of a sudden we have the entire mission tree done. And so far for grain, I'm getting up there. You need to at least be close to 20%. I think actually you do need to hit 20% actually to get the trading bonus from it. So yeah, I have to get 8% more, and we're all of a sudden the leading producer of grain. Finally, after having an army of at least 200,000, I can have up to 400,000 troops. I've won at least 200 battles, own at least 5 provinces with a barracks and at least 6 mill power. I get 15 military development, along with drill gain modifier plus 15% and 2.5 discipline, as long as I have the Staatslager government reform. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and invade Brunei. They do have a decent sized navy. Obviously nothing compared to our like 300 ships, but I need to get that naval tradition up. Pretty much I'm looking to fight all these Indonesian people just so I could get my naval tradition up. Finally, I got that 20% in my strategic goods here, the market share, to finally complete this. Giving me 5 more development. And every low country province has farmlands, local manpower, and garrison size until the end of the game. Was it really worth it? That's debatable. Just to show you guys how overpowered the Dutch Navy really is. I mean, like, I sent over 100 ships to take on 250 guys, 250 ships in the Mediterranean. And of course, they're Venetian ships, and you just see, like, my guys may end up losing the battle, but no, we're not losing that battle, actually. Like, look at that. We just sunk their flagship, and we're about to just demolish the entire Venetian navy. We just captured 12 ships. We gained 6 naval tradition out of that one battle. Or they did. Oh, that's bogus. Also just full annex both Sunda and Makassar. So yeah, now we officially own pretty much the entirety of Indonesia at this point. So all I really have to do is conquer Taiwan. We're good on the colonial stuff, and then we are just down to literally these 2 missions right here. Finally gonna go ahead and invade for Taiwan. It's the Oirat. Oirat's been having a great game this entire time. I think it's time we finally end their great game and take away their entire island here. Finally, I could get Taiwan from Oirat. That was a pretty easy war, honestly. Most of the fighting was down here in Bengal. But now I can go ahead and complete the last of our colonial mission, which is this one here, acquiring Formosa. And I could also complete Dutch East Indies, which just requires those 3 previous missions to be completed. Own 30 provinces in India, East Indies, or China, and monthly income of at least 500. And we are making almost 2,000 ducats a month in just our total balance, and 2,300 right now. So let's see, yeah, we could go ahead and complete this. Even more, VOC India, man. 5 months worth of income from the English Channel, which is almost 5,000 ducats, 5 mercantilism. And yeah, that is disgusting. So all we have left is Dutch naval supremacy, which I am about to complete literally any month now. And faded the Confederacy, which I literally just need 2 more government reforms, and then we got it. As I mentioned, not even that long ago, I can finally complete Dutch naval supremacy. Just need to complete the 3 previous missions. Have the largest fleet in the world. At least 250 ships, 75 naval tradition, and monthly income of at least 300. The required ships for claiming the naval hegemon will be halved. Well, I'm already an economic hegemon, so that doesn't even matter. And the United Crowns get unveiled. That's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. Please, Dutch people, let me know how you say it. Until the end of the game, giving us a fleet movement speed, and we can actually have 2 flagships. Apparently, I just got Bohemia. Long-time ally is now my PU partner. Okay. This is so random. I wasn't even trying to do that. Freaking finally, I can pick up the last government reform. I've literally been playing on speed 5 for the past 20 to 30 years at this point. I've been watching some YouTube videos just waiting to complete this mission. So here we go. Fate of the Confederation. One of either orangists or your stadholders or statists have to be at least 90 or negative 90, have at least 500 total development, and we get max absolutism and max effect of absolutism to the end of the game. I mean, it's decent. You know, it's not bad, but I definitely don't think it was worth waiting that long. And just to show you guys, yes, I do just have like 100,000 ducats just chilling around in my treasury right now. I'm making almost 3,000 ducats a month. Most of that, of course, from trade. And as the #1 great power in the world, pretty much the next closest is Spain, who's like half my development. In terms of India, yeah, I did take over a decent portion of India. You know, I've been fighting Delhi on and off. They've pretty much migrated to Indochina. So now they're the Indo-Chinese Sultanate instead of the Indian Sultanate over here. And my boy, the Ottomans, who have been my ally for a while now, are starting to collapse. They started going through all the revolutions, all that stuff, so... Oh, and Prussia's having a fantastic game. Can't forget about Prussia. But that's where we're going to go ahead and leave it for today. Hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Next time we are going to be covering the nation of France. I will see you guys in the next one. Chairman out.